thing in this video is we want to kind of spread hope and give you guys the belief that you can get better. And while I'm very much in it right now, and when I say it, I might be here like I'm in shorts underneath this button-up shirt. I just put the shirt on for the video. I was struggling. I was on the phone with Joe yesterday, and to be honest, I was crying, man. I didn't know. I felt like I lost all my progress, and that's kind of how it is with Lyme and with chronic illness, is the ebbs and flows, and understanding that part of healing is riding the waves. And we talk about that, and it sounds so cliche that it's not linear, but it's truly not. And I think the quicker that we can learn to understand that we have to accept the downtimes, the quicker we pull out of those. But let people know, I was very in it, like wheelchair, bed sick, like not able to move, like not leaving the house. And I go and I'm able to do so much more, and so much healing's possible. And for the people that are watching, we're three different people with three different stories that all kind of intersected through the same realm of healing. And that's kind of what we want to share, is our stories, the good, the bad, the ugly. But there's a lot of good. You do get your life back. It's not quick. It's not easy. These idiots out there that paint this pretty picture of getting better quick, or, hey, if you do these 3 or 6 steps, you're going to be better in 6 months, or, you do my program, it's all sunshine. It's absolute BS. And I think that's where a lot of people grow with frustration and stay sick. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
I actually tell people, when you do my program, you're going to feel worse.
That's good expectations. Yeah.
That's one of my biggest things that I focus on with what I talk about. I try to set things up so people know that you're going to feel like shit and get used to it. The days that you feel good, or, those nice days, that was a vacation. But, it's nice to have them so you get, you get an idea of what it's like. But get ready to fucking do the work. It's the shitty days you want, because those are the days that work is being done. That's prime time. That's the opportunity that you can bring things up to change the association. When you feel like shit, you're fucking, that's when you can really that's prime time. That's why I like to say the word, that's prime time. Normally, what I used to do when I was curled up like this, and the symptoms are the worst, the looping thoughts are the worst, that second, I would normally retreat and go to a safe room, or go to my safe spot and just ride it out. But then I had to learn that, okay, I'm going to do this prime time thing. Right now, I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what my brain wants me to do. I'm going to be a beast in a fucking glass door. I'm going to be an elephant in a glass door and fucking go walk. I'm going to go move. I'm going to get out of, because I had a safe room, and I had my car was my safe place. It would keep me, right? And I'd be like, right? So then I had to go, fuck it. We're going for a walk. We're going to go for a 5-kilometer walk. When I was able to do 5 kilometers, I had to get there, right? But that's what I had to do. Prime time, go do this, go do that. Stick to my schedule. So I had my schedule, right? And I would, no matter what, I stuck to it. No matter how much my, half side of my body felt like it was fucking weak. My brain it felt like it was, like my speech was slurring. I was like, oh man, like I was all fucked up. Prime time, go do it anyway. It's hell. I try to paint the picture. It's gonna be hell. It's gonna get worse, but you want that. You need that. And when it happens, it's actually an indicator that you're recovering. You're doing it.
I love that you said that, because me and Josh were just talking today, honestly, and I haven't said that to him, because there's been times when Josh is feeling better and I'm feeling worse, and I'm in it, and you can kind of get down, but then there's that need to remind yourself that like this is part of the healing journey, and then also it's an opportunity to respond in a different way than you would have in the past. So like exactly what you were saying. So Josh may be in it right now with a little bit more of a flare, and he can go into part of the whys, too much stress of taking on a lot of things. But, in the past, like a flare Josh would probably retreat, kind of like to a safe room and not do anything. And same with me, like, when you're not feeling well, you kind of just want to lay on your couch. You want to just curl up. You want to, go and do the go back into the old comfort zone. And the thing is, like these flares and these setbacks, they're opportunities to respond in a different way than you would have in the past. And that's all there are, and if you respond in a different way.
It's like a tunnel that goes like this, and you have a direct phone line to your brain. That's where it's most neuroplastic. It's like, okay, helmet, here's an opportunity to change. Yeah, the alarms are screaming at me. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking screaming at you. But that's the best time.
Yeah.
Every other time is a good time too. I'm not saying, but that's like
Yep.
fucking hit it.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
Sure.
That's
So
yeah.
I was curious with you guys, and I think the biggest part of this video is we want to share hope for the person that might be watching it that like I'm so sick,
Yeah. Yeah.
no one gets my story, like no one's been as sick as me, and I'm sure that we've all been in that place. And
Yep.
I for me, I thought that I was doing better. I kind of retraced my steps. I went through my journal, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of where I started getting worse. And I retraced it, and it was stress. It was absolutely me not managing
Yeah.
stress in my life. And I think that all of you guys that have chronic illness, even if you don't realize it, and there's a lot of people that have resistance to this, everybody's like, oh, it's the bug, it's the Lyme, it's the fibromyalgia, it's the long COVID,
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
it's MS. And no, it's not. It's the stress response in your body. It's dysregulation. And while there is an opportunistic
Yep.
infection inside of your body, it's the stress, the fear, the anxiety, it's the not doing that makes it progressively worse. And what I realized is going through this, that I was like, all right, I'm getting better. And Joe was kind of in a flare months back before the summer. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, let's
Yep.
go gun ho. Let's start speaking nationally. Let's start doing these things. We were at our first in-person event where we were, given an opportunity to kind of speak before a crowd of people. And he was like, bro, I'm in it. And I'm like, man, I
Yeah.
feel great.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. And it's kind of weird, the ebb and flows, but we feel like we're constantly being taught lessons and we're sick of lessons. But for
Yeah.
those that are struggling, there's absolutely hope. Like if you were to
Yeah.
tell me 2.5 years ago that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now, that I'd be coaching high school basketball consistently, that, I'd get out, I'd go to the store and not even have to think about it anymore, that I could drive on the interstate, that I really, I don't always feel great, but I don't have limitations on my life. Like, talking about going to that safe spot, that was me, dude. I would go to the basement, pull the blanket over my head and curl up in a ball. And that's how I
Yeah.
lived. I felt that uncomfortable. I thought I was dying all the time.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
to shift from that spot to where I'm at now, and I don't feel great. I'm always transparent, but I'm
That's
functioning.
good though. We don't want you to feel great. You
Right.
need that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ask
And
for more of it. Ask for more of that shit, because that's how you build a micro indifference, and eventually you become indifferent. And then when it becomes your furniture in the room, you're like, meh. You become Aaron Neville, and that allows the baseline to come down and your allostatic loads start to empty, and then eventually it'll lift when it's ready.
Yep.
yeah.
Those are you want them. Give me more.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
it. And
that.
what we've learned is you don't react when that happens. You surrender to it. You
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah.
You let it do what it needs to.
That's a
And
good thing.
we encourage people. That's where you get out and you live life. And during those times where you have things that are going on that can be terrifying at times, you distract yourself. You do something that you love.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they get sick, they stop doing things. They stop finding things that they love, and they become so hyper fixated
Yeah.
on being sick and needing to get better now. And it doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. We put so much tax on our nervous system and our body. But again, the big hope part of this is we get better. Like Joe and I, dude, when Joe first came to my house when I was living in Florida and he was in DC, dude, he was a mess. I was a
Yeah.
mess.
Just relapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2 years and 3 months ago. And we were both really, really bad. And to think, in the spring, we went to a huge concert with, I don't know, 40, 50,000 people. It was a lot. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 30,000. I don't know how many people there.
No,
But
there's
it
a
was,
lot of people that go to. It's a huge festival. There's like hundreds of thousands of people that go through the weekends.
crowds, music, all this, dude. And I had the best time of my life. I felt human again. I felt 100% those days. And to think that I went from not being able to function and thinking my safe place was the couch to being able to do things like that was huge. What we tell people is there is no safe place. You are the safe place. Wherever you go, you get on a plane, you go to Germany, you go to Africa, you go to Canada, you want to go to a concert, whatever. You are the safe place. Once we avoid life and avoid situations, that's where our box gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So
Yeah. You have to get out there and get uncomfortable, and it'll feel like a war zone. For me, inching out and sticking to my routine, because my routine was my
That's
Bible, my everyday thing that I needed.
exactly.
I had to inch out. I would go to the beach, whatever, and it would be like a war zone. Everybody's there, right? There's muscle cars there that are allowed. The fucking people. I had to find a parking spot. My senior dog is limited in certain ways. It's just, but you know what? These are all opportunities. And the more I went to the war zone, I did it 3 times a week. Went to the beach, go for a car ride, blah 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 blah. Eventually, the alarms went down from a 10 to a 5,
Yep.
maybe a 4. Stayed at a 4 for a while, and I just I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and allowing the discomfort, allowing it all to do its thing without trying to resist it, try to figure it out, trying to analyze, right?
Mhm.
Especially when you had like 75 symptoms, it's
Yeah.
really easy to get sucked into the analyzing, right?
Yeah.
So
Like,
I
why
had to
is this
learn to,
happening? Yeah.
My
yeah, I had to
doc,
learn to not analyze it, especially
Yeah.
with food sensitivities. It's very, very difficult not to analyze because you might have eaten an egg today and it had a different symptom than what you've than the pattern that you recognize. Normally this happens, but this is happening instead. This doesn't make any sense. So you start to
Yeah.
analyze and change things around, and it's like, don't do that because it's just gonna keep you stuck there,
Yeah.
right?
right? It's one of those things.
I think this is a great conversation because a lot of people, when they do this type of work, and I know we were talking about, you're not alone in this stuff, but a lot of people, when they do this work, they're kind of alone, and they when they get these bits of resistance where the symptoms get more exacerbated and all that sort of stuff, they retreat. And I
Yeah,
think it's important. Not a lot of people talk about this. This is the healing journey. This is actually the way. Even like
yeah,
these programs and all that stuff, they give you a healing routine, and it's do this, and you'll never even hear of them talking about the ups and downs really of healing. They'll just say, and this is where I
right.
think we're all of us are aligned. Like we were very very sick. Some of these people that create these programs, they might have had like mild anxiety that they just they just did like a nervous system thing and they healed.
Yeah.
But the
Or they
people,
stole another program and then they put their badge on it,
exactly.
right? And all you have to do is do the Macarena and then right. Stop, 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 stop. Fuck.
Exactly. And I think, for a lot of people, it doesn't resonate with them. Like they're sitting there sick, in their homes and all this sort of stuff. And they think like, when I start doing some of this work and I start doing sort of what we're doing is exposure therapy in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
to retrain our nervous systems and our body, that we're in a safe space and we're healing. They meet this resistance and they're like, I must be doing something wrong. So let me go to another program, or let me try
yeah,
this other thing, and then it just becomes another fix it mentality and mindset. I got to do this, and it's like, I love how you put it, helmet or moot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Moots. Yeah,
to embrace the war zone, embrace it in
yeah,
kind of a way. It's like you really have to just welcome these symptoms when they're there, embrace them, allow them
yeah,
to be there. They're not going to kill you. They're not gonna and a lot of people that may watch this video, they'll be like, what are you talking about? I have, chronic fatigue, or I have anxiety, or I have depersonalization, or I have, vertigo, or I have whatever, muscle twitching or dizziness, or, feel faint, POTS, whatever. They're going to say, no, but I'm different. You're not different. You're not different.
right.
That's the one
You're not
thing
special.
Not the
you're not,
exception.
you're not the exception.
You're not special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's important for people to realize, like, hey, these other people, they've gone through it too. I am not special. My case is not different. I may feel like shit, and I
Did
may.
yeah,
you feel like your case was unique? And Helmut, I don't know. Did you guys feel like maybe you had the worst case, like in it?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I didn't
Yeah,
feel like
well,
anybody could say to me.
before the mind body space, right? You are a freak. You are a unicorn because
exactly.
nobody, no doctors understood. None of my friends, none of my parents, nobody's like, wait a minute. All of a sudden, from yesterday to today, you can't eat anything. You have two safe foods. Okay, yeah, just eat the food, Helmet. Okay, you're
Yeah,
scared of. I'm not scared of a tomato. I'm not. I don't give a fuck about a tomato. But watch, if I eat that tomato, I'm fucking having bloody diarrhea for 3 fucking weeks.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I think it's because you're just okay. Watch, I'll eat it. Diarrhea. And then she'd be like, okay, that's weird. I don't right. My mom, she'd be like, I don't understand it. You have what is it? You have anxiety anymore. You have anxiety. I'm like, dude, this is a mind body. Then you eventually then you find the mind body thing, and then you meet the other freaks, and then you're not alone.
yeah,
And then you get it, and you learn what's going on,
yep,
right? And that's huge for me. It's like, oh, okay, there are some answers. This is
yeah,
amazing. When before I was a freak, I was
yeah,
scared, I was suffering. I was like, am I gonna die today or on Tuesday? I'm surviving every 3 seconds, right?
mhm,
It's you feel like am I gonna suffer? Am I gonna stay like this? Is it gonna be stuck? Am I gonna have to go on disability? All my hopes and dreams are they gonna be
mhm,
gone? Am I gonna be able to be a best father to my daughter, right? Like Josh, I'm sure you fuck. That's what that was your reality.
yeah,
Am I gonna be a husband? Am I gonna become divorced? Am I gonna be living in a little apartment with a little dog not being able to walk? Am I going to be, all these things come to your head, and it's like that's your suffering. And I had my safe room, but the thing is, I wasn't able to even lie down. I was pacing back and forth, trying to figure things out. I was resisting my thoughts. I was
Mhm.
investigating. I was researching and going
Yeah,
down all these toxic rabbit holes. It was a fucking nightmare. And
Yeah,
thank goodness for the mind body space to be able
yeah,
to find some clarity. And
exactly.
and even in the mind body space, there's some things that are, you don't resonate with, but
Yeah,
you
you can
find
get
out.
caught up in there to that as
You
well.
find out, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, so when I got sick, and me and Josh got sick back a long time ago before the mind body space was even a real thing,
right.
so
Yeah,
for me it was 2005. I think Josh was 2006, 2007. And when I healed before, I didn't. There was no mind body space. I actually kind of
yeah,
really just read and listened to sort of anecdotes or stories of people healing their body through
yeah,
these. It was sort of woo woo back then. It was there
yeah,
was some science because Joe Dispenza was around, and I remember hearing his story, and then some of these other people. But I still felt like a unit. Like I was like, what? I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm
yeah,
just gonna go where do implement a lot of these traditional sort of like psychology things, kind of like what we're talking about. This mind body stuff, it's great. There's new fun terms, neuroplasticity, nervous system work,
yeah.
somatics, all this stuff. But really, what we're doing, guys, we're doing like forms of exposure therapy, things like acceptance and commitment therapy, where we have a psychologist in our class. He talks about this, like behavioral change therapy, all
Shout
of
out,
this
John.
Yeah.
stuff. John, yeah, and like so, it's some of the mind body space is great, but it also can also lead to the I got to
Absolutely.
do this, I got to do interchannel healing, I got to do this
Oh
somatic.
fuck, the digging for trauma, the
Yeah,
dig for fucking trauma.
let's
Yeah.
create issues. I got a question for you guys. I'm curious, how would you answer? How much of your illness and your struggle do you believe that was rooted in fear?
Oh yeah, huge, so much.
I think everything, but I'm happy I had the fear
Yeah,
to guide me to the other side. Without it, I'd be still sick.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you feel like fear was responsible for a lot of your dysregulation?
I think with my life curveballs was I think most of it
Yeah,
because I was in toxic relationship with narcissist. Um,
yeah,
I was a heavy drinker, heavy smoker. I filled up my bucket with life situations, and
yeah,
I never knew how to deal with them or regulate them throughout my life. I programmed myself into survival, and I
yeah,
didn't know. Nobody told me, right? And then the fear comes later when you see the symptoms aftermath, and
yeah.
then you bring yourself into more of a state of fight or flight because you're looping on your own symptoms.
Mhm.
You become your 3D reality is telling you you're going to die, you're going to suffer,
Yeah,
and it just
exactly.
amplifies and amplifies, which is not a good thing. But recovery, I used it to help me get out. So in a way, it's the
Yeah.
greatest thing and it could be the worst thing.
It's like the fears are so in your face, especially when you hit the nerve, like when you hit that threshold of your nervous system, and the chronic illness
Yeah,
comes. Now the fears, that used to be far away when you were healthy, the like
yeah,
fear of death, the little like fears of these things.
right,
Now they're like boom, right in your face, and you're like, holy shit,
yeah,
I don't can't move. I'm paralyzed with all of these fears of trauma, of illness, of things that happened. I know that all three of us, we had crazy experiences that have
yeah,
whether it be with food, whether it be with going out and having a panic attack, and now those fears are just all in your face, like all of this stuff. And I think for a lot of people, like Josh brought up, like that those fears, now you're sick, and now the fears
yeah,
are so in your face that it
Absolutely.
paralyzes
yeah,
people for years on end. Did for me, I know for Josh. And then you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta kind of just, hey, fears, you're coming with me. We're showing ourselves
Put
safety
them in
through
our bag.
action.
yeah,
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 Yeah, you brought up a good point, and at first I was like, "What is he talking about?" But then I realized,
yeah,
all right, so if neuroplasticity aside, let's throw out all the catchy phrases that all
hmm,
these designer
yeah,
mind body
yeah,
practitioners use and healers use, and we go back to ancient texts from all religions, and I'll use the Bible specifically. And the biggest thing that it's told, the most repeated phrase, is essentially breaks down to "Do not fear, do not be afraid."
yeah,
fear is dysregulating. And
Yeah.
you tie that in, and I was like, all right, so what did he mean? Well, the fear shows you exactly where you need to go and heal. Like where there is
Yes.
fear, that's exactly like you said, that is your guiding arrow. If
Yeah.
you're fearful in an area, that
Yeah.
shows you where the dysregulation is. All right, so say I'm
Yep.
fearful of all these foods and I'm fearful to go to Walmart because I'm going to pass out, or I'm fearful to drive because I don't know what's going to happen when I get there, or I'm fearful to leave my house because of all these what ifs, and there's fear, 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 fear. And obviously we don't go and face them. And when we talk about going to war, we don't go to war with a gun. We go to war like armless. We're just like, all right, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get shot. But
Yeah.
I'm going to the war zone and I'm
Yep.
surrendering. I'm not shooting back. I'm not sending messages to my brain that I have to fight through this. No, we go to the war
Right.
zone. We lay down. We surrender. We remind ourselves that there's nothing to fear here. And
Yeah.
like you said, it starts at a 10, it goes to an 8, it goes to a 5, it goes to a 3.
Sometimes live back up too.
Yeah,
Yes.
we talk about this all the time. We reference Rocky. It's one of my favorite films, like the whole series. Every single
Rocky
movie.
4.
Yeah,
Rocky 4 is the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Face and brutalized. He's knocked down. He gets back up and he gets punched in the face. He's brutalized, but he keeps getting up and he keeps getting up and he endures. And he's consistent in his training and everything, and has every reason to fear. But he continues to get back up, and at the end, he's the victor. And we use this reference a lot. If you invest in the stock market, and you look at the very short term, if I throw my money in the market now, and the market could be down 18% tomorrow, and I freak out at every single dip, then I'm never going to be successful. I start to pull out at every time it dips. I'm not going to be successful. But if I span out a year, I can see some trajectory. Span out 3 years, the trajectory looks even better. If I span out 10 years and I really look, we're going up. We're going up. There's small dips. But when we get to
the long-term game, not the short-term game. The short-term game is chaos. You're making exorcisms jealous in the short term, but the long term is where you benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where people we live very much in a society, and rightfully so. When you're sick, you want to be better now. You're sick of the symptoms. You're sick of that. And when you put such heavy and lofty expectations on healing, it makes you more sick. This doesn't happen at lightning speed. I can think, I did a lot of research on people that healed before Joe and I really dived into this. And I can think of one guy that, radically got better. He was so sick. He got up. He decided that he was done with his old life. Kids, we don't come in when daddy's and anyways, he got up. He decided that he was agoraphobic and whatnot. He backpacked all the way from Virginia to California. He became like a marijuana farmer or something. I don't know. He started surfing every day. He lived on the beach with his dogs, and he just let go of all his fear. He just faced it all at once, and now he's completely better. And I don't think that's everybody's story. I think that there's a lot of work, but I think when we start throwing all these inner child work and trauma, and like you said, we're digging all these different holes, and it's like going in your backyard and there's all these holes, and like, where do I even begin? I think we address the things. We use the compass. The compass is fear. Where are my biggest fears?
That's your target.
Yeah, that is where, I need to go here. I need to surrender here. I need to understand that it's not going to be comfortable, that these symptoms aren't going to kill me. And yes, we validate and we understand that everybody out there has a real illness. We're not saying that this is all psychosomatic at all, but address the part that's between your brain, regulate your nervous system, and then evaluate where you're at. I think that's super.
If you control this part, everything else, the body follows suit.
Yeah, the body was designed to heal, but we can't heal in that state, and it's our responsibility. We go from doctor to doctor to doctor and search all these answers, and even these Lyme literate doctors, and there's some doctors that are great. I'm thankful for one of the doctors that I've had in my life, but they don't have solutions. There's no doctor out there that's consistently getting patients better from chronic illness, and there's a reason. When you go into their office, if the first thing they're not asking you is, what are you eating? What does your movement look like? What is your stress level like? Are you regulated? Those are the doctors that I would be like, all right, cool. I'm all right with a couple supplements, not to the point where it becomes obsessive, but those are the guys that I want to work with. But if you go to these guys looking for direct answers and for healing, you will not find it. Period.
They'll keep you in that brainwashed propaganda fucking stuck realm. That creates your reality, right? And then you go follow these Facebook groups, and that keeps you there too. So
I think
I don't know how I was lucky. How the fuck we were lucky? How did we get out of that? Right? Everywhere you look, if you go to Google, 99% of any of the symptoms that I have, if you pick one of them
Yeah.
and you Google it, it'll say you can't recover.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you got to
Exactly.
manage it with drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Well,
Everywhere you go, your 3D environment is lying to you. Even your symptoms are lying to you.
uh-huh.
So you gotta almost, this is where faith comes in. You gotta dig deep. You're
Yeah.
forced to, right? To cross that invisible bridge, right? You
Yep.
gotta, faith was my lighthouse when I was out lost at sea
You got to
because
believe.
everything's lying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to believe that you're in the right, you're going down the right path. And if you know, there you mentioned faith. Like a lot of people think that's a religious thing. It doesn't have to be religious at all.
No,
Faith
yeah.
is the belief that your body is going to get better over time. Not right now, just that you're doing the right
Yep.
things. My body will take care of me when it's time and appropriate, as long as I just keep going. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of they lack that. So they'll do some of these, whether these programs, whether they find DNRS or whatever, and they try
Yep.
them for a week or two, and they're like, I can't, this is hard, and I'm not really experiencing any improvement. I'm actually probably feeling worse right now. I'm done. I'm retreating, and I'm going back to looking for that quick fix, even if not it's not what they say. They're just like, this doesn't work
Right.
for me. I don't believe in this. um, but that's the thing, is like people need to be told and to learn that true healing is through all of the shit, through all of the
Yeah.
discomfort, and
Stick to it.
stick to
Yeah.
it.
And
Yeah,
just because you have symptoms, it's
yeah,
not an indicator that you're not
they were
recovering.
healing. Yeah,
Right?
I actually,
That's why I like to tell people ahead of time, just so you know, don't think that because you're doing these methods that you're going to start feeling better right away. If
yeah,
anything, you're going to get worse. So this is the end of the line. Just
yeah,
because you got symptoms here and even here doesn't mean you're not recovering. You're
yeah,
right there.
exactly.
You're moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. It's going to throw the kitchen sink at you. It has to. It will. It has to. It's going to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
it's
that,
great.
and going back to belief. So for me, I obviously have a faith that I practice, and I believe that's a large role. But on the other side of this, and I think this is where what helps people believe, is the science behind what we're talking about is so astounding. It's suppressed because
Yeah,
there's no money. Like I
Yeah.
would gladly give all the free information right here. And this is why I love Chat GPT. There's a growing body of scientific evidence supporting the idea that belief and positive mindset play a significant role in physical and
Yep.
mental healing. The placebo effect,
yeah,
perfect example of how the mind works and how your belief goes in there, guys. And if and
Yeah.
we could do a whole talk on placebo and
yeah. We
nocebo.
should eventually do
Yeah,
one
yeah,
on
I think that
placebo
would
and
be a good
nocebo,
talk.
but
The
yeah,
second one is
Yeah.
obviously, just all the research in the mind body connection. It's not the super spiritual woo woo stuff anymore. Exploring how thoughts and emotions trigger and can affect immune health. So
yep,
many studies show that positive beliefs and practices like meditation can reduce stress hormones, improve immune resilience, increase resilience to illness. This is all stuff that we know. Self efficiency. There's so much
Yeah.
in that realms. Optimism and health. It talks about there's a lot of studies going on right now for that. It's actually talking about that optimism, health, and gratitude, the role that it plays in
yeah,
cardiovascular health and lower rates of chronic disease and even life expectancy, and for those with chronic illness, that it's actually
Yeah.
helping people heal. So
mhm,
we obviously we use gratitude, and people are like, oh, you're going to tell me to be thankful for my dog that it took a dump outside, not on my carpet today. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, but what we do is we have people practice gratitude morning, night, morning, night, morning, night, morning, night, morning, night,
yeah.
morning, night, morning, night, morning, night. And the reason is when we wake up first thing in the morning, when we are really sick, what plagues our
Smack in
mind?
the face.
The
Yeah,
illness, the symptoms, the fear, punch in
Yeah.
the face, punch in the face, punch in the face. So when we replace that with gratitude, I am thankful for X, Y, and Z, and then begin to feel the gratitude, it makes a
Yeah.
shift. And that's just one small part of it. Then
yeah,
you begin to put nutritious food in your body. Joe and I are firm believers. There's a lot of people out there doing brain retraining telling you that you can eat Snickers and heal. I don't believe
Oh
that.
fuck.
You can't put
Yeah.
crash, gut your second brain. Like, no, literally, like I believe that there was a couple
yeah.
of people in DNRS, and I'll name drop, I don't care, that you can literally heal while eating tiramisu, cheesecake, whatever it is you want. And you might temporarily feel better. And I believe that the brain can absolutely do that. But if you compromise the gut where the immune
Yeah.
system, second brain is, that's just not.
Within reason. I
Yeah.
think everything's within reason. You're
Yeah.
not going to be living off of Snickers bars for the rest of your life, but I think that the nervous system is the number one thing that allows you to
Oh yeah,
make the
absolutely.
choices.
Yeah.
Without the nervous system, you can't make choices really with
No,
with
yeah.
eating. You can eat healthy as you want and still die at
Yeah.
60, Or regulate the nervous system and eat cans of soup for the rest of your life and live it to be 104 and smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Within reason, still eat chicken here and there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know what I mean?
There is the whole thing of like, the nervous system and all of this stuff. We're all different. We're all different people. And I think
Mm,
even with, a lot of the people in the mind body space that are healing from a chronic illness, it exists on a spectrum. Like there are some people, I think
yeah.
we talked about it, where their chronic illness is I have depression, anxiety, and I'm a little fatigued. And that might be the end of the world for them, right? And then
Yep.
other people, their chronic illness is I'm paralyzed for the waist down. I'm shitting blood, like you said.
Yep.
I'm dealing with vertigo 24/7. And so some of those people that have the more and I hate to even say mild versus whatever, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like some people have more of a mild type of illness, even though it is very severe on their end. They'll be like, "Oh, I did this and I healed," and then there are the other people that are like, "Man, they're
It's
basic."
almost a blessing
Yeah,
to not be mild.
yeah,
It's almost a blessing that I had the 75
yeah,
compared to the 3. Because
exactly.
when you have the 3, sometimes you put that 1 on a pedestal easier
Yeah,
than if
exactly.
you had 75 and you're fucking overwhelmed,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's where like, all right, I got to do some work, and this may take some time, and this is where you
Yeah.
kind of really dive into the healing work and letting go. There was a post that I made yesterday. Um, I forget what the hell did I say? It was like, in order to heal, you have to stop constantly trying so hard to heal. Like that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like it's really leaning into that acceptance piece of we do the work, we do the healing work. We focus on that, a lifestyle shift, but then we let go of like I've got to figure this out. I've got to try to heal. I've got to do this to
Yeah.
heal. I've got to focus on this specific thing because all that does is that
Yeah.
it just holds on to that I'm a broke, sick person. I have
Yeah.
to do this. I have to pay this doctor. I have to pay this practitioner. I have to
Oh,
do that, or I will
yeah.
not heal. And that's a lot of even people that mean well, in the healing space, in the mind body healing space, they'll feed into that fear. Oh, I have the answers. You need me so that I can help
Oh,
fix you. You know?
there's some of these gurus,
Yeah,
like some of them that
yeah,
piss me off, where
yeah,
they're like, "Oh, so you have to change your core beliefs in order to recover.
yeah,
If you're
exactly.
not doing that, you won't recover. But we have a program. It's only $500, right?" And then they're standing in front of their home that they just got a new roof installed, and they're probably the day before, like they're probably talking to their husband, "We got to get a new pool. Fuck it, I'll do a fear campaign." All
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
sweet. So they're
Exactly.
out there going, you got to dig for trauma. If you
If you
don't
don't,
heal the
I'm never
trauma
gonna
or
heal.
the core beliefs,
Yeah,
forget it, right?
We've got to fund these $1 million homes and these fancy
Yeah,
lifestyles that we've been. In reality, you have guys like us that are absolutely in the trenches with these people
yep,
and that really care about the individual
that's
stories.
what makes us different.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because
it, it's a
because
hard.
sure, I have a routine that I get people to follow, but we're also in there, second by second in the trenches with our video updates, with these podcasts, with these interviews, right? We're like, oh, I know what you're feeling. I'm with you along the way. But just releasing a program and that's it,
yep,
right? People are going to be lost at sea. That's not
yep,
enough. You got to
This
have the
yourself,
guidance.
the actual people that are in it, and
Yeah.
and Joe and I are conscious of everybody that comes through, and I think we've undermined it ourselves by making it so just gosh darn cost effective. And
Yeah.
we've even thought about raising it just because of the value that we provide. And we're not even here to sell a program. That's the thing, is like we will
No.
give you all the information for free. All we do is we tell you that we'll walk through it with you.
yeah. Show you the way.
That's the big one.
Yep,
We're not gatekeepers on the information that you can get
Yeah.
better. If you watch our videos, if you watch Moot's videos, like everything that you need to get better, there's no gatekeeping any secrets. And I'll say it again,
Nope.
it's not the inner child work. It's not the somatic practices. It's not all these extra tools that are thrown at you that literally leave people discombobulated and not
Oh,
understanding.
fuck.
Are some of the tools effective and do they help? Yeah, absolutely. Are they going to heal you? No. So what we try to do is cut out all the nonsense, give you the direct thing of what you need, and you choose, because ultimately this is where you choose whether to face the fears that have come in your life that are based around your symptoms,
hmm,
or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's where you essentially get better. You choose to regulate or you don't. You choose to create new neural pathways or you don't. And it ultimately comes, yes, there's tools. I can sit and, sometimes tapping's great, but if I'm in the
Yeah.
middle of doing this, I'm not getting better. Like by doing this,
No,
and this is my firm belief, and this is my own
Yeah.
thing. If I'm in the war zone and bullets are flying at me, and I'm doing
yeah,
this, I'm sending messages to my brain that there's something
yeah.
wrong. And when
Yeah.
we go to,
You're not facing it.
yeah, we
You're
have to
deflecting. I need to feel better now. I need to feel, and sure, in the beginning, it might help you so you can do the work, but
yes,
eventually you got to start facing the war zone. Face it.
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
taking your, and I don't mean helmet because of helmet, but you're taking your helmet off. You're laying down your gun. You're putting down your sidearm, and you're taking off the
Yes.
bulletproof vest, and you're there, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be okay. All right, they're
Yeah.
not firing at me. They're not even concerned with me. While I might be in a war zone,
You're
I'm
Neo.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Matrix.
You're blocking their bullets.
Whatever you need to do. It's when we start firing back, and it's when we start. And I'm a
Right.
believer that in the beginning, that it's okay to use these tools, but for some, these tools can become an obsession.
Yep.
And
Right.
I believe in neuroscience that when you constantly reaffirm that there's something wrong and you need to use a tool consistently to get through it, that neural pathway takes longer to form because there's still that conflict in your brain that there is something there to fear. And that's why I don't believe in stop, stop, stop. I don't.
Oh.
Me telling my brain, like, if I'm in it, like, if I say stop, 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 my body's not stopping. My body's saying screw you. Like, what is there here that I need to stop? No, I literally, this is what I do. And many times I've been driving. I lay my head back. I turn my AC on. I turn the music up. And I'm like, all right, cool. You're in the passenger side and you're riding with me. We're doing what we got to do.
Right.
When I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Am I, it's when we get in that state that we're telling our body that, hey, there's something here. So next time I go out, that's my next response. And I think that it makes it stronger and keeps that monster big.
And keeps the alarm growing bigger and bigger. What you resist persists, right?
Yep.
When you do this, the brain's like, oh, we got to get his attention. He's not fucking listening. So I got to put that alarm bigger and bigger.
Yep.
And then it starts to affect other things in your life. It poisons the well. All of a sudden you're looking at your steering wheel and it's a nightmare, or a pillow, or it's cross-contaminating everything with a fucking nightmare. That's where the OCD comes in, the looping, the anxiety, right? Yeah. It gets chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's important for us to highlight, like, it might sound like we're just talking about anxiety, but guys, we're talking about chronic illness, whether it's Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, reactive Epstein-Barr. Like, this is relevant for all of it. And this is kind of how it happens is we have, like Helmut said, he was drinking, he was smoking. For me, I was eating McDonald's and drinking sweet tea. And
I was doing the same
stress. And you pile it up and you pile it up and you pile it up. And eventually it comes over and you have your event X, but it is the opportunistic infection or whatever. Then that creates the stress and fear. And next thing you know, you're in that looping OCD cycle that if you don't break it, you're just telling me this is in my head and that I just have anxiety. No, we're not. But there is that part that you have to address. And I think
the wrench in the spokes. Yeah.
There's so many people.
Well, that was everything.
Yeah.
For me, it was controlling the mental alarms. Well, if I could do this, everything else would regulate. So the neuroplasticity kind of was irrelevant, right? The neural pathways was irrelevant. All this other shit didn't matter anymore. This is where the DARE response, the DARE app, I used to use that, and it's meant only for anxiety, right?
Yeah.
But I implemented those methods for my full body.
Yeah.
Because it's all the same shit. They're just all alarms, same shit.
Yeah. It's learning how to, calm those alarms and eventually just shut them off completely. That we start to get better. And does that mean all your symptoms go away? No, but they do lessen. And your immune system is by no way in high functioning order when you're on high alarm. There's too many other things to worry about. That's why your digestion starts to fail and you start having histamine responses and reactions, and your heart rate's up and your hormones are off balance. Like when you have all these alarms going off, like your body has no idea what to do and it can't sustain in that. And we're the ones that are doing it. It's like we take the knife and we stick it in ourselves and we're pushing it further and further and further. We're like, hey, I'd like to stop bleeding now. Well, you're the one pushing the knife.
Stop stabbing yourself.
Stop
stabbing yourself. And we don't realize it. And I think that a lot of the people, when we tell them you are the medicine, they're like, you guys are idiots. Like you don't realize. And it becomes their identity and they become so hyper fixated on needing to treat the actual infection and not realizing that they have so much work to do themselves. They want the doctors to fix it. And that's where the doctors fail. It's not the MTFHR. It's not the mold.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying if you're
Yeah.
living in mold, sit there or whatnot. But it's not your amalgam fillings. It's not the the
The
Wi-Fi
gut,
tower behind your
the
house.
leaky gut. We
Yeah,
love the leaky gut.
Yeah.
it's not all these different things. It is absolutely your fears, your dysregulation, and what we
Yeah.
see. And that's what I'm realizing. I am now dysregulated, and my symptoms are flaring, and my Lyme's flaring because one, I'm tapering off benzodiazepines, and I'm gonna talk about a whole that on another episode. But the stress, and Joe brought this to my attention. He's like, dude, you're trying to coach basketball, you're trying to train, you just are in the middle of selling your house. I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marital stress, all this. My mother-in-law is living with me. I didn't see this because she might stab me in the back of the neck. But
Pressure.
yeah, just so much coming in, and eventually I collapsed, and I didn't realize, hey, look, I'm playing the role. I'm the one that's doing this. And when I started to alleviate stuff, I meditated this morning, I prayed, stuff like that, and I noticed like a level of calm. Like I was like, it is my responsibility to lower the alarms. Like a doctor's not going to
You do your best.
Your body.
Yesterday, somebody was triggered when they saw the conversation that you and me had about, and it's true. I've talked about this with, it's very difficult, very, very difficult to do, recover in this journey when you got this liger or this tiger in the room with you, like with toxic relationships. I bring that up all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where you're forced to make the hard choices, which could be a good thing, right? Make the hard choices, get rid of that toxic relations, but there are some things that you can't change.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You can still expose yourself enough to the point where you can still thrive, you can still heal at the same time.
Yeah.
Those things that you can't change.
I think it's important. A couple things too. One, Josh was talking about all these things. You got to get rid of, anyone that's listening to this, you got to get rid of the labels of Lyme, long COVID, chronic fatigue. I'm damaged because of this. That's the one thing. Like, I don't ever think about that sort of stuff anymore. And even when I got better in the past, it's like that label does not serve me anymore. So recognizing those things, recognizing that these labels that you want to collect, they're just there to keep you stuck. You got to let go of those labels.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the stress aspect of it, there are things that need to be changes that, need to be made sometimes. I think, a lot of chronic illness, it's, a lot of people won't vibe with this, and that's okay. It's kind of like a spiritual sickness in a way. We become sick because there are some things in our lives that are out of balance. And kind of you had just touched on it. Some people are in a toxic relationship. Some people are living unhealthy lifestyles. I think about when I got sick, almost 20 years ago with Lyme disease, and I think about it now. I'm like, what if I never got sick? Would I even be alive? Like, I drank like crazy. I was eating like shit. I was, treating my
It was
body.
a gift.
Yeah, it was a gift. It was a gift. And that's why I talk about that. It's, where are things not, like, in your life not adding up to health anymore? Where are things that you even know, everyone knows within, like, where am I holding on to some things that are actually keeping me stuck and sick, and that's part of the illness is like figuring those things out. Like, man, all right, I'm doing some things that are not helpful for me. I'm staying in stress. I'm entertaining these things that are not good for me anymore, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whether it's addictions, whether it's, these things. And we see it with a lot of people that come to our class. It's like, they got, the COVID, and it made them sick, or they got, Lyme and it made them sick. But prior to that, there's always a level of stress, a lot of stress. And it's through a lot of our own.
They're just not aware.
They're just not aware, and when you really unpack it, it's like, all right, you were in the process of getting sick long before that tick bite. You're in the process of getting sick long before that infection. And now it's kind of stepping back and unraveling that stuff so that you can kind of come back to that homeostasis in your body and let go of some of those stresses, including now what we built up when we become sick, all the labels, because all those labels are just more stress. So letting those go as well. So
you're creating the bubble. I had to create a bubble, literally. And some of my friends were like, that's not how you do it. You need to expose yourself to it. You can't. I'm like, well, I had to create a bubble in the beginning. It's temporary. I had to get off of Facebook. I had to stop watching the news. I had to stop getting into politics. I have to stop talking to some of my friends. I had to cut them off because they're not supporting my recovery. I
No.
had to
Yeah.
keep this a secret. The
Yep.
mind body thing, I had to keep it to myself. I had to go
Same.
into the closet about it because if I didn't, people would talk constantly fucking
Yeah.
derail me.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of things. There was Instagram I kept because I could change the algorithms. YouTube I could just watch, recipes and stuff like that. But there was a lot of things I had to change in
Mhm.
order to create a good supporting environment for me to heal. And eventually I would come out of the bubble and exposed
Yep.
myself to
Yep.
things to the point where I had a choice if I wanted something in my life, not because I needed to do it for survival, or just because I don't want that in my life anymore. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what I had to do.
It's so key. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a really good conversation, guys, and I think this is something we can expand on in the future. I don't want to. I know
Yeah,
we've already been 45 minutes or so, so we could go on
yeah.
forever.
We
But I
could forever. Yeah,
yeah, well, what we'll have to do like a follow up on more some of the stuff
sure.
we talked about because we could go into hours long of the placebo effect of overcoming stress, of learning acceptance, all this stuff. But I think it's important just to like anyone that's watching this, just to remind you guys that one, you're not alone in this. Like the one thing I love to tell people in our class or whatever, if they feel like I'm different because I have chronic depersonalization and had it for 10 years, or I'm different because I have this, it's like everything that you're going through, think about it as like millions of people have dealt with this and have gotten better from it. You're not some special person. I think that we talked about that at the beginning, and that you're not alone. It's not.
Talk to
You
the
don't
people
want
that
to
are getting
commiserate.
better.
Yeah, you don't want to commiserate with the other people that are sick and stuck like that. That are
Right.
sitting there in misery. Get off of those forums and those boards that are keeping you in fear and in dysregulation, kind of like you said. But also recognize that there are groups and tons of people that are just like you, that have let go of the diagnosis and the labels, that have begun to do the healing work and or have done it already and have gotten better and went on to live normal lives. They're just not out here talking about it. And that's the one thing that really helps me was knowing that when I healed in the past, was like all of this
Yeah.
stuff that I'm dealing with, I'm not, other people have dealt with this and gotten better. I'm no different. And so letting go of that I'm special label, I can't heal because of this. So
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think in closing, guys, it's important to remind everybody here that there is nobody that's watching this that's too far gone.
yeah, yeah.
There's nobody. I mean, we're super animated and we're loud, but guys, like whatever the chronic illness is that you're dealing with, your body can absolutely heal. But it doesn't matter what three random guys on YouTube say. I'm recovering. Joe's pretty much, I would say, pretty recovered. I know
I've been in a, I wouldn't say, I don't like, again, we all say,
he's not a,
we're always healing. I'm in a good place and I've been in a
yeah.
good place for a little while. I still have, some
Healing
symptoms that linger. Yeah.
healing is a constant journey,
Yeah.
but I think a better way was getting your life back, and knowing that you can go from being that bed sick fearful person to living a life full of joy and experiencing things that make you happy, and living your dreams is 100% possible. But if you're sunk down by negativity and the message of this YouTube video hits you and you're like, man, these guys really don't know what I'm going through, we absolutely do. Like, I would
Mhm.
encourage you guys to search my name up in any of the line boards and look back.
Want to have a competition?
Yeah.
Let's have a competition. Who was sicker? Fuck, I was
I have
sicker,
a
right?
sicker pitching match. You'll see pictures of me in a wheelchair, begging and
Yeah.
crying for help of my peers. But the best thing that you guys can do is leave these chronic illness communities, search for the people that are getting better, and that's where you need to invest your time, guys.
Mhm.
Healing is absolutely possible. I hate using the term hope, but I think hope is great to spur you towards belief. Hope is empty. There's nothing in hope, but
Yeah.
it's if we can use hope as a tool to push us towards the belief that we can absolutely get better. I think that's where the change happens. I don't know if you guys have anything you guys want to add in closing.
No, that was great, man. We've got to keep doing these. These are fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these are fun.
absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us,
Awesome.
dude. And yeah, check out all of us on our social media stuff if you ever want. I know he's Mindful Gardener and we're the Healing
Yeah,
Dudes.
the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it all in the description. Thanks for watching, guys.